Hi, everyone, and welcome to National Run for Office Day Live. I'm Candace Harris, the Senior Director of Organizing and Recruitment at Run for Something Civics, and I'll be one of your MCs for the evening. We are so excited to celebrate National Run for Office Day 2026 with you all. This is an opportunity to not only uplift the importance of civic engagement, but also a chance for us to collaborate with partners, youth leaders, and influencers, and people who care about making our community stronger. We're making this civic holiday and we're marking the civic holiday as an opportunity for strengthening the work we are all doing to develop young leaders and build a healthier and more representative democracy. But first, we have a lot of people on the call from all around the country. I already see some of y'all introducing yourselves, so please continue to do so. Share your names, your current city, maybe a little bit of why you're joining tonight. And while we're doing that, we also want to get a better sense of everyone who is on the call tonight. So we're going to launch a quick poll. So you all should see that on your screens shortly. And basically, we want to know what best describes where you are in your civic leadership journey. So, Run for Something Civics is all about meeting you all where you are. We have a lot of people who are joining for different reasons, whether you are just now starting to think about getting involved or wanting to get more involved. And we would love to see some folks running for office already. So amazing. Thank you all so much for participating in that poll. We'll keep that going for a little bit. Also, we are going to be monitoring the chat throughout the show to see if y'all have any questions around civic engagement. If you do, you can write those in the chat. We might get to address them a little bit later on the call live. I'd also like to take a moment to thank all our partners who have helped uplift this holiday and event and who are taking part in our call tonight. Thank you so much for your support and your dedication to democracy, youth leadership, and civic engagement. We're going to hear from a lot of amazing speakers who all believe that young people are the future of leadership in our communities and should be stepping up to run. Now I'd like to pass this over to and introduce my fellow MC for the night, Craig Valdez. Craig, take it away.
Thanks, Candace, and good evening, everyone. My name is Craig Valdez, and I serve as the Associate Director of National Partnerships here at Run for Something Civics. And I'm excited to be part of today's National Day of Action. As Candace mentioned, National Run for Office Day is more than just a civic holiday. It's a public demonstration that the most capable leaders are already serving their communities and deserve a seat at the table where decisions are made. As a young person, you're constantly told to wait your turn, that you lack enough experience, but it's also used as a talking point because you are also told you're the future. So let's be real. The future is here. The future is now. And as a young person, your lived experiences are not a weakness. They are exactly what make you qualified to run and lead, especially in a time when new, fresh ideas are urgently needed. You see, state and local leaders are responsible for creating the policies that affect our daily lives, from the curriculum taught to children and the books available in our libraries to access to healthcare and voting. The unfortunate reality is that young people, LGBTQIA plus individuals, people of color, women, and the intersectionality of these identities are often underrepresented in leadership roles. Not to mention, many regional, county, and local seats remain uncontested. But as we learned and as we know, this deficit is this moment's greatest opportunity. We need ordinary people to take an extraordinary step of running for office. We can't wait for change because we simply cannot afford to. We need bold, unapologetic, authentic voices to reshape our democracy and move our country forward. We need you to run for office. And together we can build a future that truly reflects all of us. Before we continue this evening, we're excited to share a few messages from our friends and partners who couldn't be with us live today, but wanted to be a part of this moment. You're going to hear from Franchesca Ramsey, Amanda Nelson, Cheyenne Hunt, and the fearless leader, Stacy Abrams, as well. So we'll start with our first video.
Hey there, I'm Franchesca Ramsey. I'm a TV writer, actress, and content creator, and I'm super excited to be in support of National Run for Office Day. There is so much going on in our country that is pressing, and top of mind for me is access to affordable healthcare, affordable housing, student loan debt, reproductive care, and I'm sure these things are important to you. We want you to get involved because the reality is our leadership in this country does not reflect the beauty and diversity of the American people. I'm talking about Gen Z, ladies, queer people, people of color. We deserve a seat at the table because we know from the state to the local level, there are opportunities to actually impact our daily lives in a really tangible way. Things like what books are in our libraries and what our kids are having access to in the classroom. And of course, affordable healthcare, something that I hope we can all get behind. There are already so many incredible people that are giving back to our communities. People like student organizers, civic leaders, creatives, caregivers. Y'all are doing the work to help us build a more equitable world, and now we want you to take the next step and run for office. So you're probably thinking, Franchesca, I don't even know where to start. This feels overwhelming. I want to get involved, but I need help. You can take immediate action by signing up for the Run for Something Civics pipeline, where you will get access to training, community, and all the resources that you need to explore running for office. So with that, I'm going to say thank you in advance and congratulations. I know you are going to do great.
Hey everyone, I'm Amanda Nelson from Amanda's Mild Takes across the internet. I'm sure you've heard by now that nearly 70% of the races on the ballot in 2024 across the country were unopposed or uncontested. The people who make decisions about your kids' schools, your roads, your housing zones, all of that stuff, in most of those races, nobody ran against them. Not because the incumbent's doing a great job, but because nobody showed up. The pipeline is the problem. Not enough people think running for office is something they're even allowed to do, and run for office sounds like something that happens to other people with law degrees and name recognition and a burning ambition they've had since 7th grade, like Leslie Knope. Most local offices are not like that. Your school board, your city council, county clerk, board of elections, these are positions that get decided by whoever bothers to fill out the paperwork. The barrier is much lower than you think, and the stakes are much higher than people realize. Local offices are not just practice for the big stuff. They are the big stuff. The people in these positions decide which precincts have enough polling places, how absentee ballots get processed, whether your community gets the resources it was promised or not. They're not abstract policy questions. They show up in your actual life. And the people making those calls are usually elected, which means they can be unelected or replaced, or in the case of a lot of these races, run against for the very first time. And by any measure, the people currently in most of these seats do not reflect the counties that they are governing. The government in this country skews older, whiter, and more male than the population it represents, and that gap is widest at the local level, where most people are not paying close enough attention to notice. The decisions being made right now about reproductive healthcare access, which books are in school libraries, how housing gets built and where and who it gets built for, whether trans kids are safe in schools, those decisions are being made by local and state officials. Most of them ran unopposed or nearly. Many of them are making decisions that directly affect people whose lived experiences are just like yours. And the people most affected are the least represented in the rooms where it happens. And that is a solvable problem. Young people, women, people of color, LGBTQ people running for local office and winning changes what gets decided and how. It changes who gets called when the community has a problem. It changes whose experience gets treated as the default. Representation in these seats is not symbolic. It has direct material consequences for the people who are currently most exposed to decisions made without them in mind. If you are already voting, already organizing, volunteering, caregiving, showing up for your community in some way, running for local office is the same impulse, but with more leverage. The people who are already doing the work are exactly the sort of people who should be in these seats, and they're the ones most likely to not think it's for them. So take what you hear tonight seriously. Talk to your people about it, your family and your friends. The 2026 midterms are the moment, and local races are where it's going to matter most. And the resources to get started are here. I hope to see your name on the ballot.
My name is Cheyenne Hunt. I'm the Executive Director of GenZ for Change, a national youth political organization fighting to make sure that young people's voices are heard at all levels of government. I'm here to talk to you today a little bit about why you, as a young person, should run for something. Now, I know that you might be looking at me going, hey, I get that, but it's harder than it seems. I know that personally. I ran for something. At 25 years old, I was a Gen Z woman trying to be the second ever elected to Congress. I didn't win, but that was still an incredibly important and formative experience, not only for me and my career and whatever I do going forward, but also for that race in particular. It moved the needle. The conversations that I brought to the table, other candidates had to contend with, and it ultimately shaped the dialogue not only of that race, but the national dialogue of the issues and what people were talking about. And so this is a critically important thing, right? That young people are making sure that we're taking our seat at the table and that our voices are heard. Democracy is an incredibly fickle thing. It is not efficient. It is not always reasonable or logical. However, it is the best that we've got and our best shot in ensuring that power is not concentrated in the hands of an unaccountable few. In order to ensure that this very fragile democratic system can survive through the number of threats that it is facing from all angles, it needs to be a representative democracy. One of those voices that is not being well represented is that of the next generation, chiming in and adequately fighting for the future that we deserve. Of course, advocacy matters, protesting matters, being on social media matters. I do all of these things. And at the end of the day, if we are not going to have seats in the halls of power, if we are not going to be in the room to vote on those decisions, then that imbalance of power is never going to be corrected. And it is hard, I'm not going to lie to you. Running for office as a young person is no easy feat, but the truth is running for office as any person is no easy feat. And no matter what any consultant tries to tell you, there is no perfect game plan, and every candidate is always building the plane while flying it. There are so many incredible resources out there for you, whether it's the folks at Gen Z for Change and many other people who have come before us that can share their wisdom and help you have a better shot at building that plane more effectively. I know it's scary, but this is a leap that we have to take. And if this is something that you've been thinking about, don't hesitate and reach out. I'm really, really pleased to see that so many of you are involved because it's a good sign that we're getting involved in fighting for the future that we deserve.
Young people are the engine. They are the fuel. And yes, you are the future. 30 years ago, I had an opportunity to address the March on Washington. And at that moment, I talked about jobs, justice, and peace. I talked about the imaginings I had that those who were seasoned veterans would let young people not walk behind them, not get ahead of them, but walk alongside them in the march forward. Well, now we're at a sprint because we are facing an authoritarian regime that is doing its best to dismantle democracy. And now is the time we need you most. Now is the time we need to know that your voices will be lifted up, but that your hands will be doing the work of registering voters who are being told, don't bother, the work of finding them the documentation and the paperwork they need, the work of helping them imagine what the future can look like. And it's not about big, high ideals. It's about the basics, being able to have the independence and the individual freedom to take care of yourself and your family. It's about having the economic power to be able to afford the rent that you pay, the food that you eat, to dream of buying a house and to make it happen. It's about not being overwhelmed by student debt, but instead lifted up by possibility. And it's about the civic power of coming together in community, in neighborhoods, to defend ourselves, but also to deliver to each other. We have watched around this country this year and last as people have overcome the odds and have refused to be told that they are separated because of their differences. And instead, they've banded together to declare that they will defend democracy and the people in it. And the way we can do that now is by running for something, by saying that we are going to follow one of the key 10 steps to freedom and power, and that is to elect leaders who see us and will serve us. And you are doing the work of being those leaders. You are doing the work of lifting up those voices, and you are doing the work of setting the stage for what has to come next. I do this work because I believe in democracy. I believe not in the esoteric and the abstract, but in the real. I believe in a democracy that guarantees me the right to say what I need to say, to ask for redress from my government, and then to demand that the people who serve me do the work that needs to be done. I defend democracy because I believe in people, and I'm here today because I believe in you.
Thanks again to Franchesca, Amanda, Cheyenne, and of course the amazing Stacy Abrams for their inspiring words. Now we have some live speakers who are joining us from my hometown of Chicago to get us a little bit more excited about running for office, because I feel like running for office should be fun, right? So I'd like to introduce EJ Cameron and Nick Hausman of Guerilla Press. Nick and EJ, how y'all doing tonight?
We are great, Candace. How are you? Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you. There we are. Hi, everybody. Hey.
Following after Stacy Abrams. Tough act to follow, but we're here.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, thank you, everybody, for giving us a little bit, or giving us a chance to talk to you guys for a little bit of time here today. So we are Guerilla Press. We are here in Chicago, and we do a lot of content that appeals to a variety of different voters. So what we wanted to talk to you a little bit about today, and I guess I'll start here, is when you're running for office. We've had the chance to talk to a lot of local candidates here in the Chicago area, and we have seen firsthand what it takes to run for office. Now, obviously, you have to have a want to do it. You got to have people around you that want you to do it, but you also have to have some infrastructure. You have to have some stuff in place to help get that vote out. So obviously, some things that we do that candidates like to work with us on is creating content, and that can come in a lot of different mediums. So if you are running for office, definitely have a website that you can use as a hub to send everybody back to. Definitely have your socials set up across all platforms, preferably with handles that match. You're going to want to focus in on YouTube. You're going to want to focus in on Instagram. A lot of people have found a lot of success with TikTok, right? You're going to be able to make your videos 3 minutes or less in vertical form, so it can be shared across all of those. We use a tool called Metricool, so you can schedule that stuff and put it out. And then we use a tool called CapCut to do things like put captions on the video and make them really cool. And you can also use Canva to do graphic designs really quickly. So that's my little infrastructure bit about how to help you when running for office. And now I'll throw it to my partner and best friend, EJ Cameron here.
Hey, yeah, I think it's super important that we have young people voting and getting active. As you may not know, I'm a millennial. So I'm a child of the late 80s and the 90s. And a lot of how we grew up was very much, we're just voting at a macro level, and whatever our parents tell us to vote for, that's what we go with. And I've noticed that now that I've hung out with people that are younger than me, they're so informed at such a communal level that I'm just blown away. And that's who we should be listening to. Why not hear what everybody's talking about? They're chronically online, so they know what's going on. Listen to the people because they're in tune with the people. And that's what we're doing, man. Power to the people.
Yeah, listen to people, listen to young people, and again, craft your content to your audience. You know, some things that we've also done that have been really successful are finding strategic partnerships. So when you're getting going, finding businesses in the area that you're passionate about that you can work with for different resources, however that may be, always very important. And finding, again, a team of people that see your vision. And if you're somebody on this call, by the way, that's just asking how you can get involved, a great way is to hit up a campaign and see if you can't fill the void of one of the roles I just described. Are you somebody that can do graphics? Are you somebody that knows how to do a little bit of film editing? Are you somebody that has any website experience? Prior to doing all this, I ran highly trafficked professional wrestling news websites. It is a very eclectic background, but it had a skill set that I was able to apply to what we're doing now. So again, even if you're not looking to run for office and you're looking to just get involved with a campaign and help somebody who is running for office, again, all the stuff that we kind of just talked about here, all these little things that need to get done to help get the word out, to help get people reminding to vote and go out and vote. These are all great tools for you guys to use. And so with that, I think we have a couple questions, if we have time here, that we were asked to answer. Candace, are you ask. Here we go. Oh, here, wow. EJ, look at this. They made a graphic for us. This is incredible. Well, Steph Ford asked, what made you realize civic engagement actually matters? Well, EJ, do you want to take this one?
I'll start. In a way, I think it matters with your physical health. I will say that civic engagement, it gets you out the house and moving. You get your steps in. I know that's for me. The first time I tried to go out and get my voice heard, I was out of breath. So it's hard to let people hear what you need to say when you're wheezing. So that's me on that level, on just a physical level, being out there and being amongst the people.
Yeah, and I had this great moment when we were here in deep in the primaries in the Chicagoland area. EJ and I were at a local business around the corner from our office, and we heard in real time. Just we had nothing to do with this. One guy on the one side of the store yelled to the other guy at the side of the store, "Hey, we have to go vote. We need to get blank into office." And it was a candidate who was using what we felt was social media, using that very, very well, and had clearly made this emotional connection. And so, there we go. That's a moment that made me realize civic engagement actually matters on my end. All right, are we out of time? Did we run out of time? Candace, are we done? I know we were tight here. Okay, what advice would we give to someone who feels intimidated to get involved in their community? Well, EJ is a teacher at Second City Chicago, and you're all about getting people to come out of their shell. So I'll throw that to you, EJ.
Yeah, we use the power of yes and. It's the building block. You don't need to come in with a castle already made. If you're feeling intimidated, that use that as excitement. That same fear is excitement. That's the same. I'd say fear is the cousin of excitement. So use that to push you forward and take that next step. And the first step you take is the best one. It's always about the next step. It's never about the finished product. It's about the journey.
Yeah, exactly. And embrace the fear, right? Fear is what makes life fun is pushing yourself outside your boundaries. And so, it's not going to be easy. It's always hard to run for office, but enjoy the ride and then try to savor those little moments there and feel like you've pushed yourself a little bit further. So there you go.
Remember what you're doing it for.
Yeah, absolutely. You're doing it for your community, but you can also get some growth out of this yourself. It's okay to be a little bit selfish sometimes and see yourself in the grand scheme of things, right? Isn't that what we need to tell politicians more? Be more selfish, right? That's good advice.
Thanks, EJ, and thanks, Nick, for sharing your insight on how to get involved, even if it is running popular wrestling websites. And why civic engagement actually matters. But now I'd like to pass it over to V. Spear to share a few words.
There we go. Are we on? We're on. Okay, fantastic. Hi, friends. It's V from Under the Desk News coming to you from my house because it is the evening here in New York and I have 3 little puppies and a huge lightning storm. So, welcome to my home. I just want to say how incredibly proud I am of every single person who's showing up tonight and who will rewatch the feed later. You could do anything tonight. And there's a lot of things that are calling your attention away from something like the aspirations of running for office, which feels like such a big dream and such a big hurdle to so many people who would be really awesome if they got into office. But you chose tonight to spend time with us, to believe in yourself, to trust that you are the person who can help get your community to that next level that they want to be at, or at least restore some form of society contract and normalcy to your community. I want to tell you a couple stories that I've come across in terms of since I started doing Under the Desk News that relate to people running for office because they just couldn't stand it anymore. And I think those are the best kind of people we find in office. Some politicians, they get into it because they're like, I actually think I'm the smartest person in the world and I can do this. And we need some of those people too. But my story is about a woman who is from Central Bucks County in Pennsylvania. Central Bucks County had been taken over by a partisan mom group, and they had really infiltrated the student board there, and they had taken the majority of the seats. Some of these women didn't have any education experience. They maybe, as The Bachelor says, weren't there for the right reasons. And this woman who just lived in Bucks County was like, you know what? If I'm going to complain that I don't like the way a system is being run, then I ought to be willing to run it better. And that might mean applying to run myself. And she ran for school board and she won. Not only did she win, she inspired other friends to run for school board, and they were able to flip that school board from a very heavily partisan led coalition to a very diversified coalition in which one or two members from the very partisan group remained, and the majority were replaced with folks who were from that community, had different ideals, and were willing to work together to say collectively, we may not all share exactly the same ideas on child raising or which books we want our kids to read, or like I remember back in the 90s the big fight was, do your parents let you watch The Simpsons and Beavis and Butthead? I mean, those conversations are still happening now. It's just about books or different types of media. And can we work together to ensure that child literacy is at the center of our school board? Can we work together to make sure that we're recruiting and maintaining the best teachers at this school and not dealing with some of like the more partisan culture war icky issues that don't make us feel like a good community? And this was about 2 or 3 years ago now. And the school board has seen just incredible community building throughout this. And folks have been reelected even since. Hi, Michelle. And I love that story for the fact that these are just regular people who didn't come at it from a combative point of view, but rather from a compassionate one. They're like, I don't like what I see, so I'm going to be a part of making it something better. And that's just one story that I absolutely love. I recently moderated Kamala Harris's book tour. I was out in Madison, Wisconsin, and I was moderating the book tour. And something that she has in her book and that I think is really interesting was this idea that community is not just your friends and family, it's people you don't like. You can't help that you're in community with them. And how do you build society in a community that's not, homogenous, that's not exactly perfect, only the people you want? And I think about some of the things that we've done here in my neighborhood, which is a lovely neighborhood in upstate New York. I live in Rochester, New York. Very mixed neighborhood. Used to be very Republican. Now it's kind of becoming the new neighborhood. So it's mixed like everywhere else in America can be. And the issue comes down to yard signs, and what kind of example we want to set for the kids who live on the street, since all of our kids play with all the other kids. And everybody on the street wants to be seen as a safe house. We all compete around Halloween for who gives out the best kind of candy. And we are a full size candy bar house. I'm sure you're not surprised that we would be overachievers in that mask. But, there's a basketball hoop that used to be in my yard, and a kid came over and was like, would you mind if we took it to our house so we can play with it? And there are trans kids that live on the street also. So we have a little bit of everything going on. And the thing that the adults around here want to do is be seen as in good community with each other. So it really came down to not having signs that were maybe super polarizing or super critical or super mean, not having signs that say something like, keep men out of women's sports, right? And similarly, me not having signs that are like, maybe not friendly to Republicans. That might not be somebody I would be friendly to in the MAGA world. And it really worked out. It worked out for the peace of the street. It worked out for setting a good example for the kids that are growing up here. And it was nice. It was nice to know that while we had a difference of opinion as to who was doing what, we could come together as a community and recognize that the needs of the community were to set a good example for the kids and not to have the most audacious sign on our lawn. And as adults, sort of take a step back. So I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind as you're considering running for office. Also here in New York, in Rochester, a seat that was held by a Republican, it's the city manager, I think they're called, or city supervisor for the town of Greece, held by a Republican for 120 years, was just flipped Democrat. And part of it came down to a couple of years ago, Democrats actually started signing up to run for the seat. It was one of these things where they were like, oh, nobody's going to ever win it. Nobody's ever going to win it because it's always been held this way. And folks knew they were going to lose, but they wanted to try. And I think that that made such a big difference because this year, the guy who won campaigned on knocking on everybody's doors and being like, hi, I'm Jeff. I'm your neighbor. And you know how Brighton gets all the leaves picked up? I want to get that for us here too. We pay high taxes like the town of Brighton does. There's no reason why we can't get the city to come pick up our leaves. And that's what he campaigned on. Totally like nonpartisan neighbor issues. Hi, I'm Jeff. I'm your neighbor. And I want to get the leaves picked up. And he won by like a large margin. And so I think there's so much to be learned from the people you're going to hear from tonight, from the folks at Amanda's organization, and from the internet, from your friends and neighbors, even from that little voice inside you that says, maybe I should try. To try and recognize that you don't have to do what you see the national politicians doing or in these super divisive races. You can just run and be like, hi, I'm Jeff, and I want to get the leaves picked up. Like, what's the biggest issue in your town? And how can you come up with a solid solution that would benefit people? And that's some of the stuff that gets me excited about running for office and about encouraging people to run for office. And if you're not going to run for office, I encourage you to try and become a poll worker. If you're afraid that our elections are in any way not safe, free, and fair, then become a poll worker. You will learn very quickly how tightly elections are run and how free and fair that they are, and why it's so important to protect a free and fair election. And don't worry, as your first time poll worker, you typically get put on handing out the stickers, which is the job that I want every year. So you won't have to deal with any complex problems in your first time. But I think it's more about just considering that you don't have to see yourself as somebody who can fight the way that politicians have been fighting for the last 40 years. You can be someone like Jeff, or like the woman who ran for school board in Bucks County, who's just like, can't we just do what's best for the town? Can we all kind of agree that what's best for the town doesn't have to have a partisan agenda? It could be getting the leaves picked up. It could be ensuring that we retain the best teachers at this school, stuff that everybody agrees on. It's a really great way to break into this industry, if we want to call it that, or break into politics. And it's a really great way to feel safe and secure where you live. And I think that's important too. Can't always control what's going on at the federal or the big time national level. There's going to be a new president every 4 years or every 8 years, depending. But you can control the comfort that you feel in your immediate circumstance. And sometimes that's the best type of control to have and the best place to get involved. So I'm glad that so many people are here for the live tonight. Know that I am rooting for you. I'm cheering for you and all the things that you're doing out there. And I do follow the small races. So if you're out there running and you're running an interesting campaign that's a little bit different and you want to inspire the rest of the nation to maybe try and do it like you do, or something that worked for you, write to me. You can write to me at hello@underthedesknews.com, and we can take it from there and hope that we can continue to inspire good people to do good things.
Thank you so much. That was so inspiring. And I particularly love that you brought us back to community, because
Yeah.
that's really why so much of us, why we hope people would be running for office. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
amazing. So we have another amazing special guest joining us today. You might have already seen them in the chat. So please welcome actress, storyteller, and self-proclaimed democracy nerd, Sophia Bush. Sophia, thank you for joining us.
Okay, now I'm on. I did this.
Okay, hold on.
Are we back? Are we here together?
No,
Hi,
it's
everybody.
you.
I love it. Hi, how are you?
I am great. And
Good.
yeah, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And yeah, you can take it away.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Candace. I was worried that I was going to have to go right after V, because who's a better speaker? But when you said I was in the chats, I was like, oh God, it's going to be me. No pressure. Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here with all of you. What a crazy time, right? Like, it isn't lost on me that a lot of people feel overwhelmed. And I know a few people have said this already, but it is so incredible that on a Tuesday night, when you all could literally be doing anything, you're here. I'm so happy to be here with you all. I think if I've learned anything over, not to date myself, but over the last 20 years of working on advocacy for people and progress in terms of policy. It's that America is a community project. This place doesn't work without all of us. It doesn't make sense without all of us. When I hear criticisms about community uplift or social services or programs that help our neighbors, I think, when did that critical person get so bitter? Maybe they need to go out and hug a neighbor, or at least say hello. And maybe they're kind of missing the point that every single thing around us that we love and everything around us that pisses us off is the result of a policy decision. From the water that comes out of the faucet in your house to the road that you drive on and how many potholes are in it. Shout out to new leadership in New York that just filled 8,000 potholes in one day. I, as a driver in the city, am very thankful for that. It's possible to make change, but I think only when we start to understand that the political is personal. And in my estimation, / lots of years of nerdy research, part of the reason that people in power have wanted the doors to the room where it happens to be closed is because closed doors benefit them. Smaller tables benefit them. And the thing that excites me the most about groups like this one is that we're not having it. We're kicking the doors down. We're pulling up chairs and making the tables bigger ourselves. And I think that that's really the first step. I think it's really the most important thing that we can do. And I know by design, to be clear, the current moment feels overwhelming. But I also know that sometimes you don't pick the moment picks you. And I really think it's why we're all here. I think to the points you've heard already, we realize we've got to talk to our neighbors. We realize we've got to be out in the streets. We realize we've got to be in community. And listen, we don't have to agree on everything. That's never going to happen. I'm not that kind of Pollyanna who thinks we can snap our fingers enough times and live in a utopia. What I do think we can do is live in a place where science is real, climate matters, the air we breathe doesn't care how we vote, nor does the water we drink. We can protect our planet and all the people on it. We can be good stewards of this place, and we can be good stewards of each other. And maybe instead of adding to the cacophony we hear online, I know the irony, we're all online together right now, instead of adding to that really angry noise and a lot of that infighting, maybe we can be willing to sit down with people who don't have our life experience, who don't get what we get, and listen and maybe share our wisdom. You know, if I was gonna, I don't know, try to replace all the pipes in my house, I certainly wouldn't do it by myself. I'd call a plumber and then say, hey, can I work alongside you? Can I learn? I think we have to do a little bit of that in our community. We know what we know. We have to admit that we don't know what we don't know. And we've got to start to build coalitions with people. And instead of saying, we don't agree on 100% of things, so I'm not going to talk to you, maybe figure out the 70% we do agree on and figure out what the next 30% looks like. And maybe half of that 30% we can come to an agreement on. And maybe the other half we can just respect each other. Now, I want to caveat that by saying I know that what I'm speaking about might sound a little idealistic, and I don't mean that you should, for the good of things, like sit in a room with someone who is threatening your safety. But I think the goal of the current state of our politics is to make us think anyone we don't agree with is dangerous. And that's just not true. That's simply not the truth. There are so many more of us who care about each other, even across our differences, than who are so entrenched in hate that they don't care at all. And I really believe that we're going to win. I believe it's the only way forward. And so for all of you that are here, I really hope that I can tell you from my vantage point, having been in the volunteering space on many a campaign from the federal level to, small school board elections in my local community, I can tell you that most people have no idea what they're doing. There's not this whole cohort of people who knows so much more than you. Everybody's trying to figure it out. Everybody's kind of building the plane as they fly it. Yes, we should look to our elders for what they know to save ourselves some time learning lessons, but they should also look to us for our tenacity and our boldness and the fact that we're not tired and jaded yet. And somewhere in the middle, I think, is the magic. I think intersectional activism is incredibly important. I think intergenerational activism is incredibly important. So I'm going to say to you, you don't have to wait until you know more or you have more experience to put some skin in the game, to get involved. If you care, that's enough. That's the first step. And if you just take it and you commit to taking the next right step for each one after that, and to listening to the most voices, and also, frankly, I think I can say this here, to not giving into the bullshit, we're going to get somewhere. And so I'm just really amped that so many people are here. I really want everybody to know it's okay to not be an expert yet. Just show up and get involved. V said it. It might be the leaves. It might be a trash pickup. It might be something as enormous as, Kim Brell and the folks in parish communities along Cancer Alley in Louisiana who've been teaching us how to stand up against big polluters forever. Like, big or small, you can either be the helper or you can show up to follow the helpers and help the helpers that are already doing the work. I mean, we all grew up on Mr. Rogers, right? Let's listen to the man. And, we won on PBS today too, guys. There is hope everywhere, and I don't want you to lose it. And I'm just really thrilled to be here with all of you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for running for something. I saw someone in the chats earlier say that they were asked by a family member to describe their ideal leader and then realized, wait, that's me. So I'm going to ask each of you tonight to think about that, to think if you could write a laundry list of the things you look for in a leader, in somebody that you trust. Are you everything on that list? Because if you are, I think you should run for something. Thanks for having me, guys. I love it here.
Thanks, Sophia. I really resonated with the idea that democracy is a community project, and that while this moment is so overwhelming, this moment is for us, and it's for everyone on this call to consider running for office. You've heard from EJ and Nick from Guerilla Press, V from Under the Desk News, Sophia Bush, our favorite democracy nerd. And now I'd like to pass it over to someone who needs no introduction, the indomitable and all-around badass, Amanda Littman.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Candace. Thank you, V and Sophia, Guerilla Press. And most importantly, thank you to everyone. I can see it in the chat. And if you're watching somewhere else on one of the different platforms we're streaming tonight, thank you for celebrating National Run for Office Day with us. It's our favorite holiday of the year. It's the best day of the year. And we're so delighted to have you all with us to celebrate civic leadership and help you really take the first step in your leadership journey. This is just the beginning. For those of you who don't know, my name is Amanda Littman. I'm the president and co-founder of Run for Something Civics. I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing here today, why what we're doing here today is so important. The truth is that right now, so many of us feel deeply removed from the governing that our leaders are doing or not doing, and it's easy to see why. Everywhere we look, it feels like things are in crisis. Grocery prices, healthcare premiums, landlords not fixing heats, playgrounds falling apart. That pothole that the city hasn't fixed after 2 years, although not in New York, shout out to Mom Donnie, is just making things bad. And meanwhile, the people making all of the decisions don't get it. Fewer than 5% of state legislators are under the age of 35. The average mayor in our city is about 58, 59 years old. Millennials, of which I am proudly one, baby of the 1990s, hold only 14% of congressional seats. There is only one Gen Z member of Congress. These leaders are not living the same realities of us. They do not know what it's like to be fresh out of school and burdened with student loans. They don't understand what it's like to face skyrocketing rents. They don't understand the housing market that you are completely boxed out of, or to be on a years-long wait list for childcare you will probably be unable to afford once you get it. It is so easy to look around and feel like there is nothing that can be done about this. That apathy, that disengagement, the disillusionment is one of the biggest threats we face right now. It is the voice in the back of our heads telling us that things have always been this way and they always will be this way. It is the one telling us that things will never change. So what's the fucking point? Here's the thing. It doesn't have to be this way. We have the antidote. We have agency. Getting involved locally in a little way can make a huge impact. That may mean doing something bold like running for office, or maybe it's starting with something smaller like having your neighbor over for dinner and just talking about what's going on in your town or your city. And if you think running is the answer for you, which if you're on this call, I suspect you are at least thinking about it just a little, Run for Something Civics is going to make sure you're not alone. We will help you every step of the way by providing support and resources on everything from helping you learn about what office to run for, to providing tools to build a campaign plan and a community-powered movement. Because it is not just about what happens on election day, it's about what happens during the campaign and after as you build something bigger than yourself. National Run for Office Day is a reminder that the most capable leaders are already serving their communities. You deserve a seat at the decisions. You deserve a seat at the table where decisions are made. If you are furious about what's happening in your communities, if you are exhausted from not seeing change, if you are ready to do something, or if you have a positive vision for what could be, if you can imagine a better future, if you could see the potential, if you love the place you live so much and you just want to make it better, it is your turn to lead. By building local community, whether that's running for office or just reconnecting with your neighbors, we can reject apathy. We can reject doomerism. We don't have to wait to build something better. We get to do it together now. We get to build a new future and reshape our democracy. One school board, city council, and state legislative office at a time. If you are ready to join us, sign up on our website. We're going to drop the link in a chat. Well, you can find it everywhere across the internet, runforofficeday.com. We cannot wait to support you in taking the next step in your leadership journey. And we call this our future leaders. But I know that every person here is already leading. You're not the future. You're now. You're here. You're doing the damn thing. And we cannot be more proud of you and more excited to be on your team as you keep going. Now, we're going to shift to the activation portion of this call. We're going to give you a chance to take some real tangible next steps in your civic leadership journey. I'm going to pass it over to Taylor to tell us more and take it from here. Thanks, Taylor.
Hi, everyone. I'm Taylor Hopkins, Digital Engagement Associate at Run for Something Civics. We've heard a lot about why we need new young leaders, and now I want to talk to you about how we can get started. A lot of you on the call may have never thought about running for office, and that's perfectly okay. Running for office can seem like a big step, and it is, but it always starts with the issues and people that you care about the most. So I'm here to walk you through 2 quick activations that will help us figure out what we care about and how you can make a difference as an elected official, and also how we can win a fun prize just for nominating leaders in our community to run for office. We launched this quiz tab earlier in the call, so if you haven't taken it yet, now is your time. Our quiz starts with what you care about and leads you to offices you should be thinking about based on those issues. So the first action we want you to take is filling that out and letting us know in the poll what you should run for. So let us know now. So what are you all running for? So now that you know what you want to run for, make sure you read more about that office through our local office guide. This is a quick reference guide to give you essentials for starting a campaign for several of the most impactful local offices. So your first follow-up after this call is to look that office up. Now, for our next activation, we have partnered with Lush Cosmetics to encourage you all to nominate leaders in your community who should run for office. You should see that tab on your screen now. To enter, we are asking each of you to think of the dopest, most engaged young leader you know that should be thinking about running for office. You can submit their name or post on social media, and you will be entered into a sweepstakes for a gift set from Lush Cosmetics. So take a few minutes to think of who those folks are, let us know, and get a chance to win a self-care bundle. Running for office and stepping into leadership, it deserves a little luxury. So thanks again to our partners at Lush for supporting this mission. Now, if you've taken the quiz and entered the sweepstakes, you've taken 2 quick actions toward furthering your leadership journey and encouraging other young leaders to take that next step as well. So shout out to you. Now, I'd like to pass the mic to my colleague, Soo-Yeon Wei, to close us out and discuss our next steps after the call.
Sorry, I just got to pop up for the camera. Oops. Oh. Whoops, hold on. Okay. Can everyone see me? Okay. So hi, everyone. Thank you so much for staying on the call. My name is Soo-Yeon Wei, and I'm the Western Regional Director for Run for Something Civics. And we wanted to let you know what to expect from Run for Something Civics to continue your civic leadership goals. We have everyone, everyone should receive a series of emails from us that will give you a step-by-step training and guide on how to prepare yourself to be a candidate in the future. It's our Future Candidate Series. The Future Candidate Series is designed to help you get grounded in your values, your leadership, and your why. Why do you want to serve the community that you are in? You'll reflect on your lived experience, build your public profile, start showing up in your community, and figure out what kind of office might be the best fit for you. You don't need a resume full of experience like other speakers have stated. You don't need to have all of the answers, but in order to be a strong leader who voters can trust, you do need to have a track record for serving your community. And that can take a lot of different forms. It could be organizing a tenants union, starting or supporting a mutual aid network, volunteering with a local group, and you'll be the strongest as a potential candidate when you've been active in your community. You're showing up to community meetings, you are actively participating in coalitions and grassroots efforts, and you're supporting groups and leaders who are doing important work and proactively offering your help. And you want to earn people's trust with your actions. So while considering your decision to run for office, it's important that lots of people know you and like you. And one way to think about it is if you were to host an event, how many people would show up? That's your base, and you need to have a strong starting point. Can you get 50 people to show up to your house party or a door knocking event? This training series will also help you understand which local offices are available to you and what those offices do and how they can impact the issues affecting your community. The Future Candidates training will help you make a plan to become that leader that voters can trust. And it'll help you connect with other local leaders, build your public profile, and grow your network so that when you do decide to run, you're prepared. So, and now I'll toss it back to Candace to close us out.
Thank you so much, Sue. And I know that I have enjoyed taking all the trainings in the Future Candidate Series. For those of you who have already signed up on runforofficeday.com, you probably already started getting those emails. So I hope that you got excited hearing a little bit more about that just now. I want to thank you all so much for staying on the call for the full hour and for joining us today to celebrate National Run for Office Day. Before we close, I want to take a moment to express our deep gratitude to our incredible speakers. Your stories, your honesty, and your leadership are what make moments like this so powerful. You reminded us that running for office isn't reserved for a select few. It's something everyday people can step into with courage, purpose, and commitment to their communities. We also want to thank our amazing partners who help make this work possible. Your dedication to building a stronger, more representative democracy is what allows events like this to reach people across the country and spark real momentum. And to everyone who joined us today, thank you, thank you, thank you. Showing up, being curious, and believing that you could be part of the change your community needs, that's where it begins. So here's our ask as we close. National Run for Office Day might be one day of the year, but we don't have to let this moment stop here. If you heard something today that stayed with you, follow that feeling, take that next step, learn more, talk to someone. Of course, take the Future Candidates training. Join more Run for Something Civics events, encourage a friend, or start seriously thinking about what it would look like for you to run for office. And if you're still not sure about running, but want another way to support, there's a button right on the top right-hand corner of your screen. We'd love for you all to support this work and support other future candidates. So you can click on that link and support the work of Run for Something Civics. We are helping to build the next generation of young leaders to serve our country for years to come. Because our communities deserve leaders who understand them, who reflect them, and who are ready to fight for them. And that leader could be you. So thank you again for spending your evening with us. We're excited to see what you do next. Happy National Run for Office Day. Thanks again.